two people come to mind for the mentor and the collaborators, and they're different. When I was growing up as a teenager, there was a zoologist in the church I went to, a guy called David Young, and David was an evolutionary biologist and also a person who thought deeply about theology as well. So he had an influence on my life, and then later in my life I've had the privilege of working with a number of scientists, but one at the moment who's particularly significant is a colleague, Professor Andrew Bennett from Deakin University, and the joy of that collaboration is we have really complementary skills and yet a common curiosity about ecology and a common set of values of how we look at the world, I guess. And so it's just been a joy and a privilege to work with people who have different skills to my own, and we can do things that apart we couldn't do.
As a young scientist, I'm still kind of on my second postdoc. What I do is largely driven by my mentors. Particularly when I did my first postdoc, I moved to the Netherlands and was fortunate enough to work under Professor Kaiser from Germany, who pioneered the use of the Y chromosome for forensic science. And coincidentally, he needed someone to work on it with him just when I started. So he was looking for someone to take over his role as the kind of foremost expert in the Y chromosome. And so that's the role I've picked up from him, and through working with him, every day and continuing my collaboration afterwards, I've now taken up the work of the Y chromosome and am able to implement new methods into forensic science all over the world through his influence on my research.
Mentors are really important in science training. It's hard to overestimate their effect. So when you talk to scientists, they'll talk about scientific families where a supervisor's training PhD student, that PhD student becomes a research scientist in their own right and then has their own group of trainees. And you can see the influence moving between, in fact, generations of scientists. My PhD was done at the University of Melbourne, and I guess I didn't think of myself as a scientist really until I was close to the end of it, which is a bit of an odd way to start off in a career. And when I came to La Trobe, I worked with Professor Bruce Stone, and that was a real revelation to me because I had come from an agricultural background where I thought science should be pretty practical, and coming to work with Bruce really made me think about knowledge for knowledge's sake, and that taught me a great deal about how creative, I guess, science could be and how profoundly satisfying it could be.